I think the first thing that you'll see a dramatic change in is the amount of time that you have left over when you give up all of the negative kind of emotions. How much more fulfilling and gratifying your life becomes. We'll start with your own physical health. 10 years ago, I weighed 30 pounds more than I do now. I wasn't exercising. I was not watching my nutrition. I was a candidate for a heart attack. I was not practicing good physical health principles. Now, I never really made a conscious decision to say, all right, I'm going on a diet. All right, I'm going to start exercising. And I'm going to watch the sugar, and I'm going to get the salt out of my diet. And I'm not going to have caffeine in my diet, and I'm not going to have poisons in my system. I never did that. Those become natural outgrowths of self-love. The non-self-serving kind of self-love, the kind of self-love that is like having a quiet love affair with yourself, where you don't have to tell anybody. It's not necessary. It's just a given. It just is. You begin to see dramatic changes. I started running 10 years ago, and once I got myself into shape, I ran a minimum of 8 miles every day. And I got into a streak, and it's almost 9 years now of continuous, every day, never missing a day of running. And at this point, exercising and being trim is just what I am. I am trimness. I'm not trying to get there. And these changes that take place are so dramatically wonderful. I mean, I can give you some specific things in my life that I do now that 5 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. I won't drive to the store. Not because I want to save gas or because I don't like driving. I love driving. I have a beautiful car and all that. I don't even think about it. I walk to the store. I walk almost everywhere I go. It has become a lifestyle with me. It seems so silly to me to fire up 4,000 pounds of steel to go get a 39-cent loaf of bread or whatever it is, when it's so wonderful to walk or to jog down there. And so I find myself, in addition to my running, walking 4 or 5 miles in a day, using that time creatively. I walk where I used to run or where I used to drive. When I'm in a restaurant, I used to always put salt on everything before I even tasted it. I just put a lot of salt on a lot of it. I don't even ask if there's salt on the table anymore. And I never made a decision not to do it. It just doesn't feel right in my body. Now I consume 1/4 of the amount of food that I used to, and I have 4 times as much energy. I sleep much less than I used to, and I haven't consciously made any decision other than to use love as the principle for making my life work. All right? So when you ask about the benefits in the physiological area are astounding, and they just seem to get a hold of you, and you begin to make intelligent choices or healthy choices that are good for the organism. They come about naturally when you start operating your life on this inner kind of glow that I'm talking about, this serenity. You see, I think that there's more to the universe than what the pragmatists would have us believe. I am open to everything being possible and operate from the premise that nobody knows enough to be a pessimist. Right? None of us know enough. We know so little about the universe. I mean, I laugh in the newspapers. Just last week I saw a story about the quasars, these stars that are out at the edge of the universe. And I said, what is this edge of the universe? I mean, what's there at this edge? Is there a wall there? Or is there a cliff? I mean, what is it? And how did it get there? And what's on the other side? We can't comprehend within ourselves something that has no beginning and no end, because all the things that we are limited to in this space that we occupy now start with beginnings and ends. Everything has a cause and an effect. Try to contemplate for a moment a world which has no cause and effect, in which everything just is, just the way it is. And one thing doesn't cause the other. It is, and it always has been. Try to think of eternity, when we talk about an eternity, as something that we can't comprehend because we're confined in the body that we occupy to only think in terms of when we began and when we end. Look at your body right now. and look at your fingers and look at your arms and all that, and remind yourself that who you are is not those things. That those fingers were very different when you were a month old. You still were. You still existed. You are not your fingers or your bones or your nose or your ears or your hair or any of those things. Those things have all undergone dramatic shifts in your lifetime, however old you are, and yet your essence, whoever you are, continues. It goes on, and it continues to occupy many, many different bodies. This is not a case for reincarnation. It's not a case for anything. It is looking at the world from a perspective of awe and magnificence and openness to everything being possible. And that whatever it is that you call mysticism or metaphysics or whatever is nothing more than just the things that we have been limited to because we only understand what we're confined to. We can have anything for ourselves when we're open to that. And that love principle that I talked about earlier, from one cell to the next, is what many scientists are beginning to speculate on as the source of energy that makes us all work, all right? And when we operate on that principle, as you look through all of the great teachings there have ever been, that one principle of self-acceptance, self-love, taking good care of yourself, all seems to permeate all of the teachings. That just seem to go back. That can't be an accident. There's got to be some truth to that.
You were not placed here to rehearse a life that does not belong to you. You were not born to tiptoe around the opinions of others like a ghost in your own story, asking the world for permission to be what your soul already knows it is. There comes a moment, not just in a lifetime, but in a breath, where you are called to decide not what you do, but who you are, not who you were told to be, not who you were raised to perform as, but who you truly are beneath the roles, the wounds, the projections, and the applause. Decide who you are, not with your mind, but with your being. Decide it in the silence. Decide it in the ache of discontent. Decide it when the noise of the world grows loud and you can't hear yourself think. Because that's when the voice of your spirit finally whispers loud enough for you to feel it, not with your ears, but with your knowing. And once you do, live like it. Live like your soul is not on trial. Live like you are the author, not the echo. Live like you are what you came here to remember, not what the world tried to make you forget. The moment you decide who you are, the world begins to rearrange, because it changes, but because you do. You no longer bend to fit the mold, you melt it. There is no outside permission slip required for you to become yourself. The only permission is the sacred yes you give yourself in the stillness, the yes that feels like coming home. The yes that says, I remember now, I am not this fear. I am not this shame. I am not this endless loop of proving. I am not the mask I wear to survive. I am the presence beneath it all. You see, the moment you decide who you are, life stops happening to you and starts responding through you. The energy of creation flows where alignment is present, and alignment is born the moment your inner truth and outer choices begin to mirror one another like a lake finally still enough to reflect the sky. So I ask you, not gently but lovingly, what are you waiting for? Another sign? Another wound? Another approval from someone who doesn't even know their own worth? Decide. Decide that you are not here to perform, you are here to embody. Decide that you don't need to beg for crumbs of validation when your soul is already seated at the table of the divine. Decide that you are not the echo of your trauma, but the voice that rises from its ashes. And then live like it. Live like joy is your natural state and not a reward you earn through suffering. Live like peace is not a luxury, but your birthright. Live like you have nothing left to prove, because who you are is not up for negotiation. You see, there is a certain grace that enters the life of someone who has decided. They don't chase, they don't compete. They don't explain their path to those who've never dared to walk their own. They walk with clarity. They walk with peace. They walk with God, not in some distant temple, but in the steady beat of their awakened heart. And maybe that's what you forgot, that the divine does not ask you to earn your worthiness. It simply asks you to remember it. You don't need to perform your way into being enough. You only need to stop pretending that you're not. Because when you know who you are, you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for truth. And let me tell you something powerful. When you decide who you are, everything you thought you needed starts to shift. You no longer seek love from those who cannot give it. You no longer wear masks in rooms that drain your spirit. You no longer agree to play roles that betray your essence. You begin to live in harmony with your own frequency, and that, my friend, is where the miracle begins. Because the universe does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you are. And who you are, at your core, is not wounded. It is not small. It is not broken. Who you are is consciousness wrapped in form. You are an idea in the mind of God made flesh. You are light in motion. You are not becoming enough. You are unveiling it. So why then do you doubt? Why do you still hand the pen of your life over to voices that do not know the plot? Why do you allow fear to write your script in invisible ink, so that when you look back, you can't even find the pages you lived through? Take the pen back. Write boldly. Write truthfully. Write with the ink of your own soul. Because there is something sacred about a person who has decided to live in truth. They no longer hustle to be seen, they radiate. They no longer conform, they align. They no longer shrink, they expand. And when they speak, it is not for applause. It is for clarity. It is for resonance. It is because their soul can no longer bear the weight of pretending. That is the call for you now. Decide who you are, not based on what happened to you, but based on what was always true before the world touched you, before the world labeled you, before the world confused you. Because underneath all of that, there is still a river that knows its way back to the ocean. There is still a flame that remembers how to burn. There is still a child in you that never forgot how to believe in magic. That child was never wrong. The world was. You were not wrong to want to dance in your own rhythm. You were not wrong to question the cages they called comfort. You were not wrong to feel that there was something deeper calling you from within the stillness. That voice, that whisper, that ache, that was truth. Now live like it. Live like every breath is a vote for freedom. Live like your yes is sacred and your no is holy. Live like your time is not something to trade for acceptance, but to devote to your becoming. Because when you live from the place of inner decision, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop fearing death and start honoring life. And when people ask, who do you think you are? You will answer, not with defensiveness, but with peace. I am what I decided. I am what I remembered. I am what I've always been, even when I forgot. And I live like it. The moment you decide who you are, you enter a sacred contract, not with the world, but with your soul. And this contract is not written on paper. It is not notarized by society or signed with ink. It is carved into your being like the sunrise carving light into a sleeping sky. It is felt in the marrow of your bones when you finally stop trying to outrun yourself. You don't just decide with your thoughts. You decide with your energy. You decide with the way you breathe when you no longer hold yourself hostage to the expectations of others. You decide with the way you walk away from what once kept you small, and you do not explain why you are not returning. This decision, this sacred inner declaration, doesn't require a celebration. It requires congruence. It calls you to align the way you speak, with the way your spirit whispers. It asks that your actions stop apologizing for your essence. And it demands that you stop postponing your joy for some mythical moment when all the pieces fall into place. Because the only piece that was ever missing was you. The real you, the undiluted you, the radiant, whole, soul-infused you that didn't need to become anything to be worthy of everything. You see, we live in a world that sells us mirrors made of lies. It tells us we must earn love, that we must compete to matter, that we must be someone else to be acceptable. But your soul has never bought into that currency. Your soul speaks in a different language. It doesn't shout, it doesn't bargain, it doesn't manipulate, it waits, it watches. And when you finally sit still long enough to listen not with your ears, but with your being, it says, welcome back, I've been here the whole time. That voice within you is not a stranger. It is the truest friend you've ever had. It's the one who doesn't care about your resume, your likes, your accolades, or your failures. It only asks one thing. Will you be loyal to me now? Will you finally be loyal to your essence, even if it makes you misunderstood? Will you be loyal to your peace, even if it makes you walk alone for a while? Will you be loyal to your light, even if the world prefers your shadow? Because when you decide who you are, and I mean truly decide, you will lose many things. You will lose the need to be liked. You will lose the craving for external validation. You will lose the habit of shrinking when you feel too powerful. But you will gain something that can never be taken. The unshakable, unbreakable, unmovable knowing that you are living your life, not someone else's version of it. And from that knowing, freedom blooms. A freedom that is not dependent on circumstances, a freedom that is not a result of control, but a surrender to truth. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become powerful. Because you are no longer chasing life, you are creating it. Not from desperation, but from clarity. Not from fear, but from purpose. Not from pain, but from presence. This is not a performance. This is a homecoming. And when you come home to yourself, everything that is not yours begins to fall away. The roles, the stories, the personas, the defenses, all of it begins to dissolve like mist under morning light. And in its place rises something ancient, something real, something infinite. You, the you that never needed fixing, the you that was never truly broken, only buried. You were never here to impress. You were here to express. You were never here to hustle your way into worthiness. You were here to embody the worth that was already breathed into you. And that embodiment begins when you stop waiting and start living like the decision has already been made. So decide again, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Decide that you are not a problem to be solved, but a soul to be honored. Decide that your dreams are not optional. They are sacred assignments written into your very DNA. Decide that your presence is not an accident. It is a deliberate act of creation by a source that knows no error. And once you decide, the next step is clear. Live like it. Live like you have remembered something eternal. Live like you have nothing left to hide, only more light to reveal. Live like your breath is a prayer and your walk is a sermon. Live like your yes shapes worlds and your no creates space for miracles. Because it does. And when you live like that, the world begins to shift. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You begin to magnetize everything that resonates with your frequency. You begin to release everything that doesn't, and you stop fearing loss. Because you understand now what is real cannot be taken, and what is taken was never real. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. You don't demand, you declare, because you have already decided, and your decision is now the blueprint of your reality. Even the cells in your body begin to realign when you live in truth. Even your heartbeat becomes a song of remembrance. And in that rhythm, you walk not as a seeker, but as one who has already found. So, if you've forgotten who you are, this is your remembering. If you've abandoned your truth for safety, this is your return. If you've dimmed your light to belong, this is your rising. You were never meant to be small enough to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You were never meant to live a life so quiet that your soul fell asleep in it. You were meant to decide to live awake, to walk boldly into the life that only you can live. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are simply being called right now to remember what you once decided before the world taught you to forget. So remember and live like it. And as we continue down this sacred path of inner declaration, let it be known, the soul does not whisper lightly. When the soul speaks, it is not with urgency, but with eternity. It has waited lifetimes for you to hear. It has waited through your betrayals of self, through your temporary amnesia, through your search for identity in places it could never be found. The soul is not impatient, but it is relentless. It will not compete for your attention with the noise of the world, but it will stay. And that is love, that is truth, that is home. When you decide who you are no longer afraid of shedding. You become a master of releasing, because now you understand nothing real is ever lost. Only illusions fall away. Only masks get discarded. And with every layer you shed, with every old belief you burn at the altar of your becoming, you get lighter, freer, truer. Deciding who you are is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone ancient to you that existed before the world taught you to perform, before the ego taught you to defend, before your pain taught you to doubt. The real youth of soul you is not in need of change. It is in need of liberation. And when you live like that, when you live from that place, something miraculous begins to occur. You stop needing others to mirror your worth. You stop auditioning for love you were already born from. You stop compromising with mediocrity, not out of arrogance, but because truth has become your new standard. And truth, my friend, is not always comfortable, but it is always healing, it is always freeing, it is always aligning you with the life you came here to live. Not a life of mere survival, but a life of significance, a life of depth, a life where peace is not occasional, it is your constant companion. A life where you stop trying to get ahead and start walking in step with the rhythm of your soul. That rhythm may not match the tempo of society. That rhythm may look like stillness in a world that worships speed. That rhythm may require you to say no to things others call success, to say yes to things that don't make sense to their logic, but make perfect sense to your spirit. Because when you live from your decision, your divine decision, your life becomes a declaration. Not a declaration of defiance, but of alignment. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Not force, but flow. And you will begin to notice you speak differently. You walk into a room and no longer seek to be chosen. You choose yourself, silently, fully. You sit across from others and listen, not to respond, but to understand, because you are no longer protecting a false self that needs to prove anything. You create not to impress, but to express. because your joy is no longer conditional on being received. It is self-generating. It is sacred. It is enough. And if you fall out of alignment, as we all do, you will not shame yourself. You will return gently, bravely, without drama, because you know now that coming home to yourself is not a one-time event. It is a daily devotion. You make that decision again, every morning, with every breath. Today, I decide who I am. Today, I walk like it. Today, I speak like it. Today, I rest like it. Today, I love like it. And when the old voices rise, the ones that say, you are not enough, not ready, not deserving, you will not argue with them, you will not battle them, you will simply turn your gaze inward, breathe, and return to the knowing. Because once you've made the decision, you don't need to convince anyone else. You only need to live it. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the proof. Let your presence be the sermon. Let your alignment be the miracle that speaks louder than your words ever could. Because when you decide who you are and live like it, you become unshakable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become rooted, anchored, centered in a self that is no longer defined by the external. You become the calm in the chaos, the light in the fog, the truth in the noise. And that truth, your truth, is what the world needs. Not a version of you polished for approval. Not a diluted self painted for performance. But the raw, radiant, real you. The one that chose to remember. The one that chose to return. The one that chose to decide who they are and to live like it. So now, the question is no longer who are you trying to become. The question is, who have you already decided to be? And what would it look like if you finally, truly, courageously, unapologetically lived like it? And as the sun knows no shame in shining, may you know no shame in becoming. Let the decision settle in your bones, not just as a moment, but as a movement within your being. Because deciding who you are is not about one single thunderous revelation. It is about learning to choose yourself over and over, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when nothing grand is happening, when the world has turned its gaze elsewhere. In those unseen moments, when you could shrink or delay or distract you, rise instead, not for them, for you, because you finally understand that authenticity is not about performance, it's about presence, it's about integrity, it's about being one with your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when the past echoes, even when the old self claws at the door, asking for one more day of your time, but you don't give it, because you've decided to live like love is not something to chase, it's what you are. You've decided to walk like forgiveness isn't weakness, it's liberation. You've decided to create like your existence is already a masterpiece. And when you do this, you become a lighthouse not by trying to fix others, but by becoming unignorable in your radiance. You don't need to tell people what you're becoming, your energy tells them. Your presence tells them, your peace tells them. You become an example, not by being perfect, but by being whole. You see, wholeness does not come from achievement. It comes from alignment. It comes from the radical honesty of saying, this is who I am now, and allowing that to evolve, deepen, and mature without shame. Because the truth is, the real you isn't static. The real you is ever becoming, ever unfolding, ever blooming into greater expressions of love, wisdom, and peace. And that becoming it begins the moment you decide, because in that decision, you stop living from memory and start living from imagination. You stop rehearsing the past and begin sculpting the now. You stop telling the same old stories of pain, rejection, and limitation, and you start speaking new life into your reality. I am whole. I am powerful. I am divine. I am home. And when you say those words, not just with your mouth, but with your spirit, the world responds, the universe leans in, it says, they remember. And in that remembrance, doors open. Paths clear, people align, not because they were waiting, but because you were. And now that you've arrived, the unfolding begins. You see, your decision to live in truth is not just for you. It's for everyone your light will ever touch. Every stranger who crosses your path, every child who watches your example, every soul silently praying for permission to be real. Your authenticity gives others courage to be authentic. Your wholeness gives others permission to heal. Your peace ripples outward in ways you will never fully see, but the impact is real. So don't delay. Don't wait until the pain forces you. Don't wait until the fear fades. Don't wait until the world claps for you. The applause will never be loud enough to quiet your soul if you haven't yet made peace with yourself. Choose peace now. Choose you now. And live like the decision has already been made. Because the truth is, you decided who you are long before this moment. You decided in the silence between breaths. You decided in the ache that would no longer let you lie. You decided in the tears that fell without explanation. You decided in that moment, you said, enough. Enough hiding. Enough shrinking. Enough waiting. And now you're not just ready, you're aligned. So live like it. Speak like it. Walk like it. Create like it. Breathe like it. Because your life is no longer a performance. It is a prayer. And your soul is no longer asleep. It is awake. Fully, radiantly, irreversibly awake. And now, nothing can ever be the same again. Because once you decide who you are and live like it, you become unstoppable. Not because the path is easy, but because you've remembered that you are the path and there is no going back. Only forward, only freedom, only truth. Only now, you are home. Live like it. There's something holy about a life that no longer seeks escape. A life that no longer fantasizes about someday or waits for a better version of itself to begin. A life that opens its eyes to the miracle of this moment, this breath, this know, and says, I'm no longer at war with myself. There is no longer a version of me I am running from or toward. There is only this presence, and in this presence, I am already complete. That's when the real transformation begins. When the decision to live like yourselfully, unapologetically, and joyfully as no longer an idea, but a devotion. A sacred practice of remembering not once, but moment by moment. You wake up, and before the world claims your attention, you place your hand on your heart and whisper, today, I walk with the soul at the front. And your day no longer begins with stress, but with reverence. You look at your reflection not to criticize or adjust, but to acknowledge the divine being inhabiting your body. You don't see flaws, you see symbols. Your eyes, portals, your scars, maps, your skin, a temporary home for something eternal, and something inside you softens. You stop living to fix yourself. You start living to express yourself. Not because you are without wounds, but because you are no longer defined by them. Healing, after all, does not mean erasing the pain. It means walking with it gently until it no longer has authority over your identity. And this is what few are ever taught. You do not have to wait to feel perfect before living truthfully. The decision does not require perfection. It requires honesty, radical, naked, compassionate honesty. The kind that says, yes, I've been hurt, but I am not my hurt. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I am not my past. Yes, I've been lost, but I've always been whole underneath. That honesty is the gateway to grace. And grace, once it touches your life, changes the geometry of everything. Suddenly, you are no longer holding the world together with tension. You are holding yourself together with love. You are no longer walking on eggshells through life. You are dancing barefoot on sacred ground. You are no longer censoring your spirit for the comfort of others. You are channeling your truth like water flowing from a higher mountain. That is what it means to live like you've decided who you are. It means the masks fall off, not because you've grown tired, but because you've grown true. It means the silence inside you becomes louder than the noise around you. It means you stop bargaining with your purpose, and instead, finally, you embody it. You become the message, not the messenger trying to convince, but the living, breathing embodiment of what it means to be free. And when others see you, when they feel you, they may not know what has changed, but something in their soul will stir. Something in them will say, this is what it looks like when someone remembers. Because that's what you've done, haven't you? You've remembered. You remember that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of clarity. You've remembered that joy isn't the result of outcomes, it's the natural expression of alignment. You've remembered that power isn't dominance over others, it's presence within yourself. And now, with this remembering, you move differently. You don't rush. You don't strive. You walk with the knowing that everything that is yours is moving toward you because you have finally aligned your being with your becoming. This is not Magichet's law. This is not hope, it's vibration. This is not ambition, it's surrender. Because when you surrender to the truth of who you are, your entire life becomes a ripple of liberation. You liberate your mind from old programming. You liberate your emotions from stagnation. You liberate your nervous system from the chronic grip of survival. You exhale the end in that breath, your soul takes the lead. So take another breath now, not as a routine, but as a revolution. Breathe in the knowing, I am already what I was searching for. Breathe out the lie, I am not enough. Breathe in the truth. My being is my becoming. Breathe out the performance. I have nothing to prove. And in this moment, feel what has always been here. Stillness, warmth, knowing, the gentle but undeniable hum of existence saying, you are on time, you are seen, you are not late, you are life expressing itself in one perfect unfolding form. Let that be enough. Let that be more than enough. Because when you truly decide who you are and live like it, you don't just change your life, you change your relationship with life itself. You no longer experience yourself as separate from the world. You realize you are the world, waking up to itself. The river is not apart from the ocean, it is simply on its way home. And so are you. This is what you were born for. To wake up in the middle of the storm and say, I am not the wind, I am the sky. To rise from the ashes and whisper, I was never the fire, I was the flame behind it. To walk through the world, not to escape it, but to illuminate it. And now, in this very breath, the liberation has already begun. Not because anything outside has changed, but because you have, and that is where all transformation begins. From within. In the stillness of your being, in the gentle heartbeat of existence, there lies a truth that transcends time and space. Presence
is the only place power exists. It is not in the rush of yesterday's regret, nor in the anxious anticipation of tomorrow's uncertainty. True power resides not in what you possess, nor in the accomplishments you gather, but in your ability to be fully, completely present in the moment. This moment, this sacred now, the very instant in which you are reading these words, breathing these breaths, feeling this life. You see, there's a secret that the world has tried to mask, a truth that is often hidden in the noise and chaos of everyday life. You are not what has happened to you. You are not what you fear may come. You are not the thoughts that whirl in your mind like a tempest. You are none of these things. You are that which observes, that which witnesses, the space between thoughts, the stillness beneath the surface of the storm. You are presence. This is where power begins. Not in the constant striving of the ego, which forever seeks to validate itself in the eyes of others. Not in the endless pursuit of accomplishments, possessions, and accolades. These are fleeting, temporary. They come and go like waves crashing against the shore. But what remains? The shore itself, the stillness that watches all things, unaffected, unmoved by the tides of external events. That is the power of presence. The ego, in its endless quest for validation, has convinced you that power lies in control, in force, in manipulation. It whispers to you that the more you can control, the more you can acquire, the more you can conquer, the more powerful you will become. But this is a lie. True power lies not in what you can control, but in what you can surrender, in the letting go. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the edge of a vast ocean. The waves are crashing violently, the winds howling, the water churning in every direction. The chaos is overwhelming, and yet you stand firm, unmoved. You do not attempt to control the ocean. You do not try to stop the waves or still the wind. No. Instead, you surrender. You let the ocean be what it is. And in that surrender, you become one with the ocean. You feel the rhythm of the waves. You align with the movement of the water. In that surrender, you discover a stillness that was always there beneath the surface of the storm. That stillness is the power of presence. We have been conditioned to believe that the answer to life's challenges lies in action, in doing, in achieving. And while action has its place, it is not the source of true power. True power comes when we stop trying to force life to be something it is not, and instead allow life to flow through us as it was always meant to. In the acceptance of what is and the surrender to the present moment, we find our true strength. This is the paradox of life. In surrender, we gain. In letting go, we hold everything. The moment you stop struggling, the moment you stop trying to control, you align with the flow of the universe. You become like a leaf on the surface of a river, floating effortlessly downstream. The current of life carries you, and in that surrender, you find your purpose, your power, your peace. But this is not something the ego can understand. The ego, ever hungry for more, cannot fathom the concept of surrender. It is only when we step outside the grasp of the ego, when we stop identifying with the false sense of self that is constantly trying to prove its worth, that we begin to experience the power of presence. The ego is not who you are. It is a construct, a collection of thoughts and beliefs that have been shaped by the past, by the opinions of others, by society. But who you are is not a thought. You are not your beliefs. You are not your past. You are presence itself. And in that presence, all things are possible. Not because you will them into being, but because you align with the flow of life, which is constantly unfolding. You see, when you are present, you become an instrument of the universe. You are no longer the one trying to control and manipulate. You are the one being moved. And in this state of alignment, you discover a power far greater than anything the ego could ever create. This is the power of being. This is the power of now. But to experience this, you must first be willing to release the illusion of control. You must be willing to let go of your attachment to outcomes, to expectations, to the idea that you need to have everything figured out. You are already enough. You always have been. Your worth is not dependent on your achievements, your possessions, or the approval of others. Your worth is inherent in the very fact that you exist. You are a divine expression of life itself, a unique manifestation of the universe's infinite creativity. You are already whole. This is why presence is the only place power exists. In the present moment, there is no need to prove yourself. There is no need to seek validation from others or chase after fleeting desires. In the now, you are already everything you need to be. All the power you seek, all the answers you are searching for, are contained in this moment. You are the source of your own power. And so, the invitation is simple. Be present. Be here. Be now. Stop running from the present moment. Stop avoiding what is. Stop resisting the flow of life. When you surrender to the present, you allow yourself to be filled with the power of the universe. You allow yourself to be guided by an intelligence far greater than anything the mind can comprehend. And in that guidance, you will find peace. You will find joy. You will find love. You will find freedom. The past no longer has any hold over you, for it is only a memory. The future is but a dream, a projection of the mind. The only place where life is real, where life is happening, is in the present moment. And in that moment, you are free. You are powerful. This is the essence of who you are. You are not a separate individual struggling to survive. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your story. You are the presence that witnesses it all. You are the stillness beneath the surface. You are the ocean, vast and infinite, capable of containing all things. When you awaken to this truth, you awaken to your true power. You no longer need to chase after success, recognition, or validation. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone, including yourself. You simply need to be. And in that being, you will discover a strength beyond measure, a peace beyond comprehension, and a love that transcends all understanding. So, let go of the past. Let go of the future. Let go of the struggle, the effort, the need to control, and simply be present. In the present, you are whole. In the present, you are powerful. In the present, you are free. And as you embrace this truth, you begin to see the world around you change. The circumstances that once seemed overwhelming will no longer have the power to shake you. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable will no longer feel like obstacles. For when you are grounded in the present, nothing can disturb your peace. Nothing can take away your power. You are presence. This is your true nature. This is the power you have always possessed. You were never broken. You were never lacking. You were never incomplete. You were always whole. And now you are awake to the truth. The truth that presence is the only place power exists. the truth that you are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your circumstances. You are the stillness that witnesses it all. You are the presence that is always here, always now, always free. And in that freedom, you will discover a life far more beautiful than anything the ego could ever create. A life filled with peace, with love, with joy, with grace. A life where you are no longer bound by the past, no longer fearful of the future, but free to live fully, freely, and powerfully in the now. Presence is the only place power exists. And now you know the truth. When you allow yourself to truly be present, you begin to realize that the moment is all there is. All that you've been seeking, all that you've been running after is already here in front of you, waiting to be acknowledged. It's not hidden in some far-off future or locked away in the depths of the past. It's here, right now. The power that you seek to change your life is here in this moment, in this breath, in this stillness. The ego, in its search for meaning and value, believes it needs to gather more, achieve more, become more. It whispers, you must have this before you can be happy. You must accomplish that before you can be worthy. But this is the illusion, for you are already enough. You were never lacking, never incomplete. It was never about becoming anything more. It was always about remembering who you are and allowing yourself to be that truth in every moment. When we surrender the belief that we need to chase or strive, we step into the power of presence. Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. Surrendering to what is in this moment allows us to move with the flow of life rather than against it. It is like a river that no longer fights the rocks and obstacles in its path, but flows effortlessly around them. In that flow, it finds its strength, its purpose. In this moment, right now, you can stop seeking, you can stop fighting, you can stop running. You are home. There is nothing to prove, nowhere to go. Just breathe. Feel your heart beating, the air filling your lungs, the pulse of life coursing through your veins. You are already living the miracle. The miracle is, in this moment, in the ordinary, the mundane, the breath of life itself. In the realm of presence, there is no room for judgment, comparison, or competition. These are all constructs of the mind, the ego, that cause us to measure ourselves against others, to believe that we are either too much or not enough. But you are not your mind. You are not your judgments or your comparisons. You are the awareness that witnesses all of it, the silent observer, untouched by the fluctuations of thought and emotion. When you move beyond the identification with the ego, you experience a deep sense of peace. It is the peace of knowing that nothing can disturb your essence. Nothing can take away your worth. You are. And that is enough. The noise of the world may try to pull you in, but you remain anchored in your center, in the stillness of presence, where nothing external can alter the truth of who you are. Think about the times when you felt most alive, when you were so deeply immersed in an experience that the rest of the world faded away. Perhaps it was in a moment of deep connection with another, in a creative flow, or simply in the quiet of nature. In those moments, you were fully present. There was no past pulling at you, no future waiting to be fulfilled. You were simply here, and that was enough. That is the state of power, pure presence. You see, power doesn't lie in control or manipulation. It doesn't lie in forcing things to happen or trying to change the world on your terms. True power lies in surrendering to the natural flow of life, in allowing the universe to work through you rather than trying to force it to conform to your desires. The moment you let go of the need to control, the moment you let go of your attachment to outcomes, you align with the greater wisdom that already knows the way. This is why we must learn to trust. Trust in the process of life. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when we cannot see the bigger picture. Trust that each moment has its own perfection, even in the midst of challenge. When you trust, you release the weight of worry, the burden of control, and step into the freedom of being. The present moment is the only true point of power because it is the only moment that is real. The past is a shadow, a memory. The future is an idea, a projection. Only now, this very moment holds the power to change your life. The key to transformation is not in what you will do tomorrow or what you have done in the past. It is in what you choose to do right now. So, I ask you to consider, what would your life look like if you truly embrace the power of presence? What would it feel like to let go of the need to be anywhere other than here? To stop searching for happiness in the future? To stop chasing validation in the eyes of others? Imagine the peace, the freedom, the power that would arise from simply being who you are in this moment without judgment, without striving. The truth is, the more you let go of the need to control and the more you embrace the present, the more you will experience your true self. You will discover a version of you that is whole, complete, and powerful beyond measure. The world may continue to swirl around you, but you will remain anchored in your truth, grounded in your essence, clear in your purpose, and in that truth, you will find the most profound freedom. The freedom to be yourself, to live authentically, and to trust that life will guide you exactly where you need to go. This is the gift of presence. It is not something you need to achieve or acquire. It is already within you, waiting to be remembered, to be embraced. So now, as you sit in this moment, take a deep breath. Feel the power of your presence. You are not the thoughts that come and go. You are not the emotions that rise and fall. You are the stillness behind it all, the awareness that observes, the soul that is always connected to the infinite. You are power. And from this moment, you are free. Free to be exactly who you are. Free to let go of everything that no longer serves you. Free to step into the flow of life with trust, with peace, and with the knowing that the power you seek is already within you. This is the truth of who you are. Presence is the only place power exists. And now you have remembered you are home. When you are present, you become a clear vessel through which life can flow. It's like a stream that no longer fights the rocks and obstacles in its path, but moves effortlessly around them, shaping its course. The water doesn't struggle to find its way, it simply follows the path of least resistance. This is the flow of life, and when you are in alignment with it, you cease to struggle. The path unfolds before you, not through your effort, but through your willingness to be. You are the river, and the river is you. This is not a passive state. This is not the surrender of a weak or timid spirit. It is the surrender of the one who understands their true strength. The strength that arises when you stop forcing life to conform to your desires and instead allow life to reveal its truth to you. You don't need to control. You don't need to manipulate. You only need to trust. Trust that everything is unfolding for you, even when the picture is not yet clear. Trust that the timing of your life is always perfect, even when it feels like things are not moving as fast as you'd like. In presence, you find freedom. The kind of freedom that isn't dependent on circumstances or external validation. The kind of freedom that is born from knowing that you are already whole, that you are enough in this moment, right now. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer need to compare yourself to others. You no longer need to chase after something you think you are missing. You are whole. The ego will try to tell you otherwise, of course. It will whisper in your ear that you need to be more, do more, have more. It will point to the achievements of others and tell you that you are somehow lacking. But that voice is not the truth. The truth is that you are not defined by your accomplishments, your possessions, or the opinions of others. You are defined by your presence. The moment you realize this, you are free. Free from the constant chase. Free from the need for external validation. Free from the belief that you must become something other than what you are. You are already everything you need to be. In the moment you stop seeking validation, you find the power of acceptance. Acceptance of what is. The moment you stop fighting against the present moment, you begin to align with it. And when you align with it, you align with the power that already exists in the present moment, the power of now. This power is not something that can be taken from you. It is eternal, unshakable. It does not rely on circumstances, on success, on failure. It is the foundation of your being. This is the essence of who you are. So, when life presents challenges, when obstacles arise, when the world feels heavy, remember this: you are not the challenge. You are the presence that witnesses it. And in that presence, you are free. In that presence, you are powerful. In that presence, you can face any challenge with calm, with clarity, and with strength. The key to transforming your life is not in trying harder, working more, or struggling against the flow. It is in surrendering to the moment. It is in letting go of the need to control, of the need to know what will happen next, and simply trusting that you are being guided. Trusting that the very universe that created you is unfolding with perfect precision. And when you surrender to that, you align yourself with that wisdom, with that intelligence, and you discover a peace that no external circumstance can take away. This is the power of presence. Now, let me ask you this. What would happen if you stopped seeking to change the moment? What if you simply accepted the present exactly as it is? Not as a form of resignation or passivity, but as a conscious choice to live fully, to experience this moment as it is without the need to alter it or resist it. Imagine what could unfold when you no longer waste energy wishing things were different. When you stop running from your feelings, your thoughts, your experiences. When you embrace the full spectrum of life, knowing that it all plays a part in your journey, what could unfold in your life if you embraced each moment as perfect, as complete, as divine? When you are in presence, you are no longer subject to the fluctuations of the external world. You are no longer swayed by the praise of others, nor crushed by their criticism. You become rooted in the unshakable truth that you are enough, just as you are. In that truth, you can move through the world with confidence and grace, not because you have everything figured out, but because you are no longer dependent on external validation. This is not to say that you do not take action, that you do not create or build, or that you become passive. Rather, it is to say that your actions come from a place of inner peace and alignment, rather than from a place of fear or egoic need. When you act from presence, you act with clarity. You move with intention. You don't force things to happen, but you work in harmony with the flow of life. And the result? You move through life with ease, with joy, and with grace. Your life begins to unfold effortlessly because you are no longer fighting against the current. You are the current. You are the flow. You are presence. In every moment of presence, you are free. Free from the weight of your past. Free from the fear of your future. Free to be fully alive in this moment. And when you live in this freedom, you begin to experience the depth of life's richness. You begin to experience the beauty that exists in the simplest moments, the way the sun feels on your skin, the sound of the wind through the trees, the smile of a stranger, the touch of a loved one. These are the moments that make life worth living. These are the moments where you find joy, where you find love, where you find peace. And these moments are always available to you when you are fully present. So let go of the past. Let go of the future. Let go of everything that has ever told you that you are not enough, that you need to be something else, and simply be. Be here. Be now. Be who you are. And in that being, you will discover the greatest power of all the power of presence. The power to be yourself. The power to live fully. The power to experience life as it was always meant to be lived. This is your birthright. You are presence. And in that presence, you are free. And so, my friend, in this moment, you stand at the threshold of a new way of being. You stand at the edge of an ocean, waiting to dive in and experience its vast, boundless depths. You have already discovered that presence is not a place you go, but a place you are. It is the eternal truth that resides in the heart of all things. It is the power you were born with, the gift that is given to you in every single breath you take. The only question now is, will you choose to stay present? Will you choose to let go of the past, release the need for control, and live fully in the moment? Because when you do, you will find that you are no longer seeking the life you want, you are simply living it. When you embrace this truth, you will no longer search for happiness in distant horizons. You will know that happiness is not something to be found. It is something that arises when you are fully present with life as it is. You will stop chasing after future dreams, believing that they hold the key to your peace. Peace is here now. In every heartbeat, in every inhale and exhale, you carry within you the seed of transformation. The power to heal, the power to create, the power to love is not out there. It is here, in you. And when you embrace this power, the world will transform with you. The people around you will feel it, the opportunities will appear, and the universe will conspire to bring you everything you need. So, as you move forward, remember this. Presence is not a state you achieve through effort, but through surrender. It is not something you need to prove or earn. It is your natural state. You are already whole, already powerful, already enough. And the moment you step into this truth, you are free. You are free to live, to love, to create, and to be. You are presence. And in that presence, you are infinite.